Well, the biggest question in the courtroom this Monday morning was when when that retrial is going to happen. Prosecutors told the judge they're ready to put the case back in front of a jury before the end of this year. But the defense argued they need more time, citing new experts, additional DNA testing, and thousands of pages of discovery, which they say Murdaugh needs to go ahead and review. Right now, though, listen to the exchange from inside the courtroom.
We've already sort of stated this publicly, that we were trying to do this, before the end of the year, late towards the end of the year. We're ready to go put it together about that. So I'm not aware on the state side of any expert issues that would provide for additional delay.
All right, Mr. Harpootlian, how about for the defense?
Your Honor, we have 8 expert witnesses. All of them are new. All of them are just beginning to get the information they need. The DNA, when we are told, may take up to 6 months. But to try this case this year, these guys are talking about going to the death penalty 4 months ago or 3 months ago. To try it before the end of the year cannot be done for us to be adequately prepared. And we talked about the laptop. Without the laptop, we can't try it next year. If we have to go down there and take in a banker's box at a time to review documents, almost 20,000 pages of documents. So we came up with a way, ironclad, there's no chance of it being distributed. We'll give them a laptop that's encrypted, that since there's no attorney-client on it, corrections can look at it, SLED can look at it, anybody can look at it, and let him look at that without us having to take hard copies of stuff down there and review it with him. Can't leave it with him under the court order. In other words, you just can't take him to discovery and leave it with the court order prohibiting that. But if we have that, and he could be reviewing these documents and experts as we're reviewing them, let's not forget, he's a lawyer. Now, he's a disbarred lawyer, but he has probably more trial experience than many of the folks on either side of the court. So he understands what he's looking at much better than any client I've ever had. So I think it's important, if you're going to try to expedite this, for him to have, and we can talk about the laptop separately, but that's going to be a condition.
Respond, or the attorneys could come themselves, they could look at it.
And a lot going on in the courtroom today. Our Christy Calcagno sat down with defense attorney John Mobley to talk about next steps, why the retrial matters so important, and why this new judge, how the new judge plans to manage this case.
Well, Christy, I got to call it like I see it.
Yeah.
I want to start by saying that, Becky Hill's misconduct was just a gift to the defense. It's like manna from heaven for them to get the opportunity to try this case again, having learned from the mistakes the first time, which I hope they do. I am hoping that this time around we see a little less showboating and a little less posturing by the defense. I think there was a lot of that took place during the first trial, and I don't think it was particularly helpful to the defense. And I'm hoping that they take advantage of this rare second chance and do things slightly differently. So far, I'm not convinced they're going to do much differently. I'm looking at the pretrial motions they filed, and I have some thoughts on those. Matter of fact, the last murder I tried in front of Judge McCaslin, and I think it's important, and that she's doing it. She's establishing early on that she's in charge. I think with the lawyers in this case, you got to be careful because they will try to run a roughshod over you and try to take charge of the courtroom. So it's important that she kind of establish early on what the parameters are going to be. And I think it's also important that she's smart to make sure that she doesn't have any surprises. That if there's an issue that you want to address, you need to let me know now so I can start looking at it, preparing for it, as opposed to dropping these things on me at the last second. And now that's going to delay, the trial, because now I've got to research these issues or decide how I'm going to rule. I would not be surprised if she makes a deadline for them to make all pretrial motions by a certain date. And that's probably what she's going to do. She did that in my trial, for example. She made it clear she wanted both the state and the defense to give her a list of all pretrial motions they plan to make by a certain deadline. And she is probably going to do that in this case, and that's a good way to really keep all the lawyers on a tight leash.
And kind of keeping everything on track when it comes to this too.
And no surprises.
No surprises.
I don't think they really need a year from that standpoint. They like the time, which, quite frankly, they shouldn't have to have a year. And I do want to address this new evidence request. I mean, and I want to be clear, they made a motion to have some genetic material tested, genetic material that was present during the first trial that they chose not to try to have tested. So now they're claiming that there's some new scientific process that was used in another case that was helpful to a defendant, and they want to try that in this case. They do not need another year to be ready.
For clarification too, one thing that they're really talking about specifically was the DNA that was found underneath Maggie's fingernails there, and it was from an unknown man. So that was the example that they were using, the defense was using, where they're trying to use the same genealogy testing that was used in Houston, Texas for the Idaho murders with Mr. Koberger, saying that that was able to help with that case.
Christy, thank you. And again, that was defense attorney John Mobley giving his perspective there. You can always continue counting on News 19 to bring you the very latest updates regarding Alex Murdaugh's murder retrial on our website, WLTX.com. And also be sure to download our free streaming platform that is WLTX Plus.